Welcome back to Franco Fridays. Today I'm going back to the 1960s and I'm going to check out The Girl from Rio, 1968. This is a film that was produced with Harry Alan Towers right around the time of the Fu Manchu films. And it's a sequel to the double feature here that we've got. This is The Million Eyes of Sumeru. And that film stars teen heartthrob Frankie Avalon. Many of you guys are my age may remember Frankie Avalon. These films were basically trying to parlay the success of the Bond films. Spy films in the 60s were a big deal. And then you throw into that kind of the psychedelic 60s look of the girls, and that's what you've got here. Franco, I think, approached it more as the aspect of a comic book based on the Sax Rohmer novels. And he looked at it more like just a fun kind of a comedic romp, kind of playing a little bit, making fun of the seriousness of the James Bond films. Both films stars Shirley Eaton, who plays, depending on, they call her all kinds of different things, Sumeru, Sumutra, or who the hell knows, but she's basically leader of an Amazonian tribe of women. She's the fascist feminist leader of a bunch of Amazonian women who are bent on world domination and getting rid of men. That's what their goal is. In the film, I'm not going to talk about The Million Eyes. I'll focus on the Franco-directed film, Girl from Rio. Basically, a guy played by Richard Ayers. I think it's Richard Ayers. Let me see here a second. Richard Weiler. A guy named Richard Weiler plays a spy who's basically stolen $10 million and fled to Rio. And people get wind of it, most notably George Sanders, who's a local crook, an ascot wearing crook, by the way. And then, of course, the Sumatra, she finds out as well, and she sends her female fascist minions to go capture him. And so everybody's trying to get the $10 million from this guy. I'm not going to give away the plot or some of the twists of the plot, but it's pretty funny and interesting, and it's beautifully shot, as is all Franco's films. He does a lot with little. The film was shot originally in Rio. Portions of it was shot in Rio, and it's beautiful. The Sugarloaf Mountains in Rio is in this film. A lot of the hotels there, and I mean, it's amazing how much production value Franco can get out of these films. As far as the film itself, Shirley Eaton, who plays the Sumeru, I guess is what you call her, she most notably was in Goldfinger, the Bond film. But I think about this time, if you look at these two films together and you kind of watch her performance, it's not particularly good. I think going through the motions would be a fairly accurate statement when it comes to Shirley Eaton. She's nice to look at, but she doesn't portray any kind of real menace to the role. And ironically enough, when you listen to the 15-minute interview with Franco that's on the bonus special features of this disc, and then do a little bit more research about it, Shirley Eaton quit the acting industry right after that, shortly after the making of this film. And it almost feels like to me, in watching her performance, that she'd kind of made up her mind to quit acting in the middle of this production. So I think the film is hampered by some really kind of bland, boring acting, honestly. The guy, Richard Weiler, is not a good lead. He's just not, he does not portray any kind of screen charismatic. He's not a very charismatic actor. And between him and Shirley Eaton, they really need to carry this movie, and they simply don't do it. They just kind of go through the motions. I think the standout performance, if there was one, was the always consistent George Sanders, who plays the ascot-wearing criminal who can't stand the sight of blood, and he's a character. But George Sanders has always been a character. He had a tough life, apparently. He, shortly after this film, committed suicide. It's a sad story. I mean, but all the films that he's ever been in, he gave it consistently. He gave it his all. You could tell he was always giving it his all, and he's an outstanding actor in his day. The costumes in this, as you can expect from a Franco film, are crazy, off the wall, plastic, fascist, feminist outfits. Shirley Eaton's got this green spandex outfit with a big S on her chest, like she's Supergirl or something. Just totally ridiculous. Lots of crazy, like, curtains and plastic curtains and circular beds, and you're not going to get a lot of sex and gratuitous sex or close-ups or anything like that in this film, because, I mean, obviously it was made for a different audience. It's really more of a lighthearted spy comedy than anything else. But you do see in an early workings of Franco what's to come in terms of his esoteric style and his obsession with women. So it's got all those type tropes in it, and it's a beautiful film to look at. It's just a kind of a bit of a chore to get through because the acting is so flat. But as usual, Franco carries the day with his camera work and his locations and how he structures everything. I mean, I think he did the best he could with the script. I believe the script was the product of three individuals: Franco, Harry Allen Towers, and Sax Rohmer. I believe Sax Rohmer was but got the basis of the script with the Sax Rohmer cartoon characters. As far as this release, it's a Blue Underground release, double feature, and it's beautiful to look at, no doubt about it. Relatively sparse on the special features. There is a bonus 15-minute interview with Franco, but that's really about it. I think I would say that The Girl From Rio is probably a 6 out of 10, barely. I think it's really more for Franco completists than anything else. Probably a good one. It's not a movie that I'm probably going to go back to. Let's be honest about it. I just think there's more meatier stories that he delved into later in his career. But it was good for what it was, and I enjoyed my time watching it. So that's it for The Girl From Rio. And hope you enjoyed it. If you've seen the movie or have any other thoughts about it, leave a comment below. Appreciate it. Thanks.